Tonight, we delve into the ongoing leadership crisis within the National Union of Road Transport Workers, where we're following developments as regards the Court of Appeal judgment. The union, which has been embroiled in a bitter dispute over its leadership, has seen two individuals claim the presidency, Comrade Tajudeen Bariwa and MC Oluomo. The crisis has been marked by court battles with the National Industrial Court as well as the Court of Appeal weighing in on the matter. Despite the court's rulings, the situation remains unresolved, with both factions refusing to back down. Let's bring in Tolu Babalele, who's the lawyer representing Comrade Tajudeen Bariwa. Mr. Babalele, thank you for joining us on the program this evening. Let's begin with an insight into, perhaps do a brief overview of the events that have transpired since the election in 2023, including the court interventions and the current state of affairs within the union.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Do a summary for us, if you can, in 2 minutes.
Yes. In 2023, May 24th, to be specific, Tajudeen Bariwa was elected as the president of National Union of Road Transport Workers. And on 27th of August of same year, he was sworn in. On 28th, a group of dissidents who lost election, led by Alhaji Yasin, led some other groups. Notable among them is Comrade Tajudeen Agede, MC Oluomo, and went to a place in they went to a place in Abuja and decided that they were not going to agree with the verdict of the majority of National Union of Road Transport Workers, and purportedly set up a caretaker committee. And they were led by some police officers and some thugs to take over the national office from the incumbent president, which is Alhaji Tajudeen Bariwa. And as soon as this thing happened, Bikunle Bariwa wanted to retaliate by also going ahead using thugs to go and fight them in the secretariat. I cautioned him not to do that, and we went to court. So when we got to the and the matter was tabled before the court, and then the matter was won by Tajudeen Bariwa. Not satisfied with the outcome of the court, MC Oluomo and Yasin and his cohorts went to the Court of Appeal. And at the Court of Appeal came to the conclusion that Bariwa was validly elected, and it is illegal for them to usurp and chase him out of the office. And they were told to forthwith vacate that office for the president. Even this matter, NLC intervened severally, minister intervened severally, but we discovered that they decided to sit tight in the office and refuse to yield position up to today. Despite the fact that
Mr. Babalele, allow me to jump in. Allow me to jump in, because most of these accounts, you have mentioned them earlier. They are out there in the open. But walk us through the timeline. Are you saying that the inauguration of MC Oluomo as national president of the union came after the Court of Appeal affirmed Bariwa's leadership?
Yeah. The election of the union. As at the time, MC Oluomo purportedly claimed to have contested as president of the union. There was no vacancy because the judgment of Court of Appeal came on 8th of November 2024. MC Oluomo was purportedly elected by some dissidents at Osogbo on 9th of November, a day after the judgment. And he is a privy to the judgment. He's bound by that judgment because he's part of the people who were claiming the seat with Bariwa. And let me tell you, sir, MC Oluomo was never part of the union because he left the union and he became the chairman of park management in Lagos. And for you to come back to the union and contest election, you have to have spent 2 years as a member of the union. Up to now, MC Oluoma has not spent 2 years. And unfortunately, the federal government, the Attorney General, the Nigerian Police Force, the National Security Advisor, DSS, we wrote to all of them about this shenanigan and this open brigandage and breach of rule of law. But they have chosen to do nothing. One wonders how they now quickly went to Osun to be purportedly, executing a court order that was not even clear, while leaving a very clear and straightforward court order.
Mr. Obalaye, let us stay within the confines of this conversation. You mentioned reaching out to the Inspector General of Police. Hold on a minute, Mr. Obalaye. Hold on, Mr. Obalaye. Hold on. Let us, we don't have as much time. We invited you for this conversation. Let us stick within the context of what we are talking so that we can establish the facts. You know, we don't have to go to other areas. We don't have as much time. There's a limited time to discuss this issue. So let's focus on what we came here for. You mentioned reaching out to the IG, right? The National Security Advisor. You mentioned the Attorney General of the Federation, the DSS, and what have you. Can you confirm if these relevant government agencies, who of course are meant to, you know, implement the position of the court, have they received the certified true copy of this judgment? When exactly did they receive it?
I stand to be corrected, and I stand to be challenged by anyone, any of these organizations that has not received copies of the certified true copy of the judgment. We wrote to them. In fact, specifically, Office of the Attorney General wrote back to us that apart from the certified true copy of the judgment, we should provide all documents, even the papers we file at the industrial court, that we should provide it for them, which we did. But up till now, nothing has been done. It's very unfortunate that this is happening in the regime of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who came on the matter of obedience of rule of law. But what we have is far away from me. And
all right, so
this is not known to the president, and that's why we are calling on the president to please do the needful, because this is a dent on the image of this of this government. It's
precisely. What was the police response to the situation? Did they take any actions to enforce the court decision?
The police has always looked away, even up to now. 2 weeks ago, we were seeing the Office of the National Security Advisor. The police invited the president of the National Union, Alhaji Barwa. We were there. They invited the lawyer, the MC Oluoma group. He was not there. He sent his lawyer to the place, and they gave excuse that they will be there last week. Last week, they didn't come, and police has up to now has done nothing. So this is very, very unfortunate that this can happen in this country.
So when you say police has done nothing, you know,
yes.
I'm just curious about you providing specific answers. You know, you mentioned what the Attorney General, the Office of the Attorney General said, and what they requested that you bring. You are also saying that the police has actually invited both parties. What was the precise response to the certified true copy when you mentioned to them that it is their responsibility to enforce the order of the Court of Appeal? Precisely what did they say?
Before the police, Alhaji Barwa made statement to the police, asked him to make statement, to submit the judgment of the court, to submit this enrollment of order. He did everything. And the police even aware, because the SAN the police has an SAN, Mr. Law, who is a senior advocate. He was the one that was in charge of the whole thing. That's the OC legal of the police. Before this issue of whether it's overage or not arose. But it was the OC legal of police. We submitted all these documents. So it is come today, come tomorrow. Till tomorrow. We even had that press conference 2 weeks ago. We have not had anything. So, and up till now, the other group are staying put in the office in which they usurp illegally.
Mr. Obalaye, is it possible that the opposing faction has appealed this court judgment before the Apex Court, potentially resulting in a stay of execution? Are you privy to that?
Excuse me. Let me make it clear to you. In industrial matter, Court of Appeal is the last court. Under
Is the
section
apex court.
243, subsection 4, is the apex court. Appeal does not lie against judgment of Court of Appeal before any court of law in Nigeria, because Court of Appeal is the last court. So there's no appeal.
It is now more than 3 months after what you call the apex court decision on this matter. As a lawyer, perhaps you want to provide some insight into the typical time frame for enforcing a court order of this nature. Is there a precedence that we can learn from?
There's no physical time frame for the enforcement. The judgment takes effect immediately, and because it is expressed in the judgment that the judgment should be complied with forthwith, which means immediately. And apart from that, the judgment is a declaratory judgment, which immediately takes effect. So, but unfortunately, we have an organization in Nigeria dragging feet. Even the NSC is aware of this. The police are aware, except the presidency. The president, Mr. President, may not be aware, but the people are dropping the name of a particular man in the presidency, which I will not mention here. So, because they are dropping the name and they are saying nothing will happen. And true to God, up to today, nothing is happening. This is very unfortunate and very, very painful. All they do now is to go to lower courts, go to federal high court to be saying there are pending cases. How can the pending case in the federal high court be pending against a judgment of a superior court? So it's a collation court in law. It cannot hold water. No other lower court can sit in appeal over the judgment of a court of appeal. So what we are calling for is for the immediate execution of this judgment, so that Nigerians will know that judiciary is still the last hope of the common man. Because justice is supposed to be blindfolded. But in Nigeria, our justice system now is as if it is perforated. You can see, and they decide to implement the one they like in this case. It is very unfortunate. And this is not a political matter. National Union is not a political party. They are not PDP, they are not APC, they are not NDDP or any other party.
All right.
It's just a trade union fighting for the interests of their members.
You
and
mentioned
children of the president.
You mentioned
President should do something now.
You mentioned that the NLC is aware, right? I'm wondering what the reaction is from organized labor and also the Minister of Labor himself.
The NLC has been aware. They have issued statements in this country, about 2 or 3 statements, calling on the federal government, calling on the NLC, Minister of Labor and Employment, to recognize Baruwa-led National Union of Road Transport Workers. But nothing has been done up to date. It's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. But all I know is that between now and 2027, there's no vacancy in National Union of Road Transport Workers, because election can only take place in May 2027. Are
you hearing from
the tenure of Baruwa will elapse only in August 2027. Between now and then, he is the president of National Union in the eye of the law, and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
Perhaps you can walk us through what the internal dynamics look like within the NURTW and what you consider the motivations behind the opposing factions' actions in this regard.
Well, what I see as the motivating factor is that a particular former president is claiming that he is the one who will be choosing leadership for the National Union. He doesn't want the members of the National Union to decide their fate and choose for themselves, and which is very, very unfortunate. So, because this is about democracy, and the union is a national union with spread. The geopolitical zones, they have their conference and they have their election and elected Baruwa, other officers. So it's very unfortunate that a faction who believe that they have father in Israel in the villa are the people behind this.
All right. Good place.
It's to justice.
It's a good place to leave it. Mr. Tolu Babaleye is the lawyer representing Comrade Tajuddin Baruwa in this matter. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this issue, Mr. Babaleye. Well, the MC Oluomo faction has a right of reply. We're hoping to hear from them as well. perhaps a counsel on this matter to answer questions on why is it difficult to obey the decision of the Court of Appeal, which according to the lawyer is the apex court in this matter. Before we go